Yeah, we're not doctors or giving any medical advice. This show is intended for educational purposes only, and you should talk to your doctor about any medical issues. Now, let's get at it.
Welcome to Chat the Fat, where nutrition authors Nissa Gron and T.C. Hale are going to break down common low-carb mistakes. Let's chat all things low-carb, keto, digestion, and more so you can maximize your results.
Hello, good people, and welcome back to Chat the Fat. This is episode 90. I'm T.C. Hale, and I'm here with Nissa Gron, and she doesn't think 90 is very many.
No, not at all. I don't remember doing 90 episodes, but I guess we have.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess we talked about some stuff. We didn't do all those today, did we?
No, that would be a long time. That would be
That
silly.
would be a long time. Good. Well, what should we do today then? It's a new year, 2021. That means everything is back to being just fine and dandy. Everything's perfect. Nothing is broken anymore. Good job, people. We made it.
Hopefully we made it. I mean, we're recording this, but are we still here? I don't know. The world's been a little crazy lately, so you just never know.
It's not like Y2K where everybody thinks that everything's going to break on that single minute, though. But there are people who think that once the year is new, that everything's going to be jazzy.
This year has been far worse than Y2K.
Right. Yeah. This year was more like the things that we thought were going to happen in Y2K.
Yes. Okay. So we are, assuming we are here and it is January and we made it, we do have the new keto challenge coming up in just a few weeks on January 18th. And we will be kicking this round off with our free keto masterclass on January 12th. So if you want to learn what our challengers know to lose up to 25 pounds in only 21 days, you can get on the challenge list now, and we will keep you up to date with everything going on with our keto masterclass registration. So you can get on that list now at eatingfatisthenewskinny.com/challenge list. You will also receive my challenge prep tips that will help you get started to win that big $500 prize with the next keto challenge.
Do you think we're going to have a new winner this time? You know, each time or lately, it's been like a lot of new people.
Yeah, the last challenge was crazy. It was so close. It was between 3 people, and it was, I think, down to less than half a pound between 3 people. Poor Donna, it was her second time in a row that she was down to a third of a pound.
Come on, Donna, you got this.
And then we had CJ who was in there, and she was brand new to the challenge. She's coming back for round 2, and she actually didn't even take her starting weight because she thought she had no chance. She was just kind of in it for the fun of it. And then when I emailed her asking for her video just to make sure everything's on the up and up, she didn't have it because she didn't think she'd even win it. So, you know, if you think that you're not going to win it, you just never know who will win that $500 prize. And I know Stephanie is a little bit newer to our group. She was our winner. She won by a third of a pound. So yeah, it's really anyone's game to get in.
All right, gonna be fun.
All right. So last week, if you tuned in, we talked a little bit about New Year's resolutions. But since we are already a few days into the new year, unfortunately, a good portion of people who listened to that episode started their brand new keto lifestyle with the best intentions, but it's been a few days, and now some of them are already back to eating all of the junk that led them to trying out keto in the first place. Or if they're not quite there yet, I know that some of you are considering going back to that lifestyle while searching for a new diet that might be a little bit easier to follow than keto. Because if you didn't listen to us in the last episode and you didn't start off with low carb, you kind of might be feeling it right now.
Yeah, you kind of might have thought, oh, what do you mean? There's no peanut butter crackers? How do you not have peanut butter crackers?
Yeah, keto's a great diet, but it can be a little bit hard if you just start cold turkey. But if you haven't fallen off your keto resolution yet, we are here to talk you off the ledge and bring you back to the healthy side of life. And we are going to use this episode to give you a few strategies to actually stick your New Year's resolution out this year. So, in case you did miss last week's episode, we started off with some stats that I will remind you of. Only 64% of those who make New Year's resolutions last longer than the first month. And you chimed in and thought that that was kind of a lie, that it's really only the first 2 weeks they last.
Right. That's usually because that, 64% is not very many. But when you think about it, oh, they're only lasting a month. And the reality is a lot of people don't even last that long. So
Yeah.
they're saying within the first month, that's 64%. But a lot of those were like 12 days in.
Yes, and we're almost to that point. So just stick with us, listen to this episode so you can get some tips to actually stay on track. And then 46% of those who make resolutions only last longer than the first 6 months, while only 14 to 39% of people actually ever achieve the goal that they set as their resolution. So, hopefully, a few days into the new year, if you're still among that 64% that's still holding on, and you plan to last not only through your first month, but you want to keep going, we are here to help you finally reach your goals when it comes to keto. So, one way that we teach in our Ready Set Keto method, all of our keto challengers learn this when they get started, is when you are setting goals, you want to make sure that your goals are realistic and attainable, because a lot of people go into diets with these big goals that they want to lose 50 pounds this month. And I don't know of anyone who's ever lost 50 pounds in a month. So that's definitely not realistic nor attainable for most people. So you definitely want to make sure that your goals are SMART. And we're not just talking about be smart when you make goals, but that's an acronym and it stands for being specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely.
And realistic according to humans, not what you see on a weight loss reality show.
Yeah, not according to the diet industry, because if you follow them, they just want to keep you stuck with their very, very unrealistic goals that are not achievable. All right. So when we are talking about specific goals, we're not talking about setting a goal like a lot of people do, where you say, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds this week, because obviously that's not achievable for most people and it's not realistic. So instead of being specific about something you really don't have any control of whatsoever, try to set a specific goal that you can achieve. Like maybe instead of setting a number that you don't have control over, like losing 10 pounds, do something that you can actually keep track of, like vowing to write in your food journal every day for the next 30 days, because that is something that's in your control and that is something that you can definitely measure, and it's specific. You're trying to write in your goal in your journal for 30 days. This is a goal where you can actually hold yourself accountable. And it's really easy to measure if you took the time to write in your journal or if you didn't. You either did it or you didn't. So you're giving yourself a time frame. It's realistic, and it's just something that you can look back and measure. Now, writing in a journal is also a great goal because it helps you reflect on your progress when it comes to reaching your goals. And you also have the ability to acknowledge what you're doing right and what changes you can make to help you move closer to your goals, which I think is important because you're not just kind of winging it, but you're able to look back at what you did and what helped you reach your goals and what you did wrong that you'd like to change.
Right. So think about that. A goal of, a certain weight is a horrible goal. But like even a measurement, something you're not in control of that because you can take steps to make that happen, but your body may dictate that something else is more important at that time than making that waist measurement go down. Also, the body doesn't work in week long increments. That's not how the body functions. So over a 2 week, like if you wanted to lose half an inch every week or something, that's not a goal that I want somebody to have. I'm just making up something to be silly. But if your goal was to lose half an inch every week, over a 2 week period you may lose a full inch, but at that 1 week mark you may only be at like quarter of an inch down, because the body cycles through different functions and different things that are going on at different times of the month and all this different stuff. So if you're measuring for a week but your body is not, you may be doing everything right to reach the goal that you want, but when you don't get it, then you're like, oh, I must be doing something wrong, I'm going to change what I'm doing, and then you don't reach your goal at all. Does that make sense?
Yes, but there's a lot of people listening thinking that half an inch per week is completely reasonable. So, what is something that you think would be more realistic for someone to lose over the course of like a month?
Well, over the course of a month, so every inch that you lose off of your waist usually equates to about 5 pounds of fat ish. It's not an exact science at all. It's just an ish kind of thing. So if you're measuring at your belly button, is what we like to see people do so that they're measuring at the exact same place every time. So there is no number that's reasonable because if somebody's 400 pounds, they're going to lose weight a lot faster if they're doing everything correctly than someone who might be 180 pounds. So there really isn't a number, um, but you just, what you really want to see is constant, progress. You want to see moving in the right direction, especially consistently, and that doesn't mean consistently every week, because one week you might go up a little bit, but then the next week you're down below where you were a couple weeks ago, so to speak. So I like to see people see some progress. So when you're looking at some kind of number, because you like for people to have numbers, what kind of thing do you see as a more human number, as a average that most people are going to actually see? And let's not do the first week, because the first week a lot of people are going to see a big number.
I don't know if there's an average. I would say anything between half an inch to an inch. If you lose that over the course of the month, that you should be happy with that.
Right, because that's significant progress. That's my clothes fit differently kind of progress. And that's really what you're wanting. So with a goal like that, I like to see that over a month and not over a week at all with goals like that. So that's the first thing that you want to look at. But when we're talking about setting goals, you don't have any control over what your body's going to do, but you do have control over what am I going to write down, or like I, I'm going to learn a new healthy recipe every week and implement that and test it out and see, do I like it, so that I can continue to add more things into my arsenal. Those are things that you have control over. Those are the goals that you really want to lock down and achieve.
Yeah, another big one is how many carbs are you going to eat that day? Because obviously we're keto, and if you're going over your carb budget every single day, you're not going to reach your goals. So that's something that is attainable. It's something that's measurable. It's very specific. So something like that is another good goal. It might not help you lose 10 pounds that week, but at least you know you're getting closer to your goal when you stick to that number.
Right. That's a good one too.
Okay, so we also want you to keep in mind when it comes to setting your goals for the new year. Maybe you already have because we're already past the new year, but you can look back at your goals and see if you did this. And if not, you might need to reset them a little bit. But when it comes to setting goals, it's important to acknowledge that making the changes you want to your already established habits is hard. We have these habits we do every day, and a lot of people go into the new year with all these big expectations, but I think just taking the time to realize that changing your habits is something you have to work on every single day. It's not something you can just vow to do and it happens, but it's something that you have to really put work into, and it's a habit. It's something you have to keep doing. And you also have to keep in mind that just because you changed your habits today, it doesn't mean that your results are going to happen overnight or even the first 2 weeks of the new year. So you said a lot of people give up within those first 2 weeks because they're not getting results. And so it's important to remember that just because you changed your habits, it doesn't mean your body's going to change or make any noticeable changes just because you changed. That all of this, it is hard to change, and it does take time for you to actually start seeing results. So if you do make it to that two week mark, you don't want to just scrap your plan and start over from scratch just because you're not getting the results that you think you should have. So you definitely need to have patience, and maybe I'm not saying to keep your plan exactly the same. You might have to make small tweaks along the way, but you never want to just like throw your plan away and start from scratch if you already taken time to research it and you know it's a solid plan that's going to lead to a healthier lifestyle. Something else that can help you is if you write down your goals. So we talk a lot about journaling, so you can write them down in a journal, or sometimes you can even write them on a nice piece of paper or type them out and hang them somewhere where you can review them every single day. Because just because you say you want to achieve something once, you're probably going to forget about it. But if you actually write them down, it feels like more of a commitment. And when you hang them, like maybe you hang them on your bathroom mirror and you review them every single day, then you're giving yourself a daily reminder of what your goals are, and that will help you reach them more.
And what do they say? How many days does it take to create like a new habit? I can't remember what the actual days is. Do you?
I've heard it's 21, but some people even say up to 6 weeks.
And that's a long time. So just because you know, decided to have a new habit and you did it once doesn't mean that that's a new habit. You have to enforce that every day and you're going to miss days. And missing days doesn't mean, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. It just means, oh, I missed a day. I got to get more vigilant on this and try a little harder. So don't beat yourself up too much when you skip something with a new habit. It's not enforced yet. It's not a new habit. You have to make it a new habit.
Yeah, and like you said, skipping days happens, but the real determination is if you're going to hit your goals is if you can get right back to it, or if you just say, "Oh, screw it, I missed a day, now I'm just giving up," because
Right.
then you're never going to hit your goal.
Right.
So there are some questions that you can ask yourself to help push yourself in the right direction when it comes to sticking with your New Year's resolutions. One of the most important questions is not only how you will make the change, but you have to ask yourself, why do you want to make the change? So you want to write out your specific reasons of why you want to reach your goals because that makes them more real rather than just saying, I want to lose weight. That's not really something that you'll stick with if you just say you want to lose weight. But if you tell yourself, like, I want to lose weight because I want to be healthy for my family or because I want to fit into my high school reunion dress, even though I don't think they're doing high school reunions right now. But you get what I'm saying. You have to have a reason why you want to make this change to make it more attainable for you.
Right. And that's really big because understand that you're going to hit roadblocks no matter what. There's going to be something that says this is hard now. And you have to have a reason to say, I'm going to push past the part that's hard.
Yeah. So when you write out those goals that you want to achieve and you hang them on your mirror, don't forget to write out your why because you have to remind yourself of your why, and that will help you get back to doing what you need to do. Another question to ask yourself is your goal concrete and measurable? So we kind of already talked about this at the beginning. You need to make your goals SMART. If you just say, I want to lose weight, you probably won't take the right actions to actually meet those goals because that's not really a concrete or measurable goal. But when you say something like you want to eat 20 grams of carbs each day, this is concrete and something that's easily measurable as long as you're tracking. So you can see how you're doing each day when it comes to working towards your bigger goal of weight loss.
Right.
And then a third question is not only we all need to go into it with a plan. So you definitely want to ask yourself, what is your plan? Because as we talked about before, keto can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So just saying that you're following keto or low carb isn't going to work, but you want to specifically define what your plan is. So you want to lay out your specifics. How many carbs do you plan on eating? What kind of fats do you plan on eating? When do you plan to have a food day where you can prepare everything? So definitely lay out your specific plan to help you stay on track. And then a fourth question you want to ask is who can support you as you work towards change? It's actually been proven that having a support group can help you stay accountable when it comes to reaching your goals. Of course, listening to podcasts and reading health books is really great when it comes to nailing down the strategies that will help you reach your goals. But let's face it, you can keep learning. And no matter how much you learn and no matter how much you know what the right things are to do, there are going to be days where you get stuck and you're not sure of the next right step to take, or there's going to be days where you just don't want to do it. And that's really when a support group can come in handy for you. So you can either have a support group like we have our Keto Decoded group where members can come in and ask questions when they feel stuck or, even just talk to each other just to help motivate each other. Or you can even find an accountability partner. So one person that maybe you're checking in with daily to make sure you're keeping each other on track. And you want to stick with people who have the same goals and lifestyle as you do.
Yeah. And if you have people in your house, you don't need them to be on board with what you're doing as far as doing it with you. That's not crucial. It's helpful, but it's not crucial. But you do need them to understand what you're doing. If your husband's buying you cupcakes, every Friday, then that's not really going to be helpful for your keto diet. So you have to at least explain, this is what I'm going to be doing, this is what I'm going to not have, so don't get these things for me, that kind of stuff. Lay yourself the groundwork to make it as easy as possible for yourself.
And it will save you a lot of fights. Because I remember when I first started with low carb, I was down in the basement working out, like early in the morning. I got up to work out and I came upstairs and I saw Jason on the couch eating candy. And that was a pretty big fight
And the
because
whole
I
time
was
he's thinking,
doing
I'm
it.
just having some candy, what did I do, what's wrong with this chick?
That's the exact impression of it.
I know.
Because, I was doing a lot to change my lifestyle. I felt like he should have been too, but I was working out and he was eating candy. So that was definitely a fight. All right. And the fifth question that you want to ask yourself is, how will you celebrate your victories? And this is actually really important because it can help your brain start to recognize the changes you want to make, even if you have small victories. Now, I talk a lot about this in our keto challenges because, everyone comes in for the big weight loss that we talk about, and it's fun to celebrate those victories, like people losing pant sizes. I know some of our challengers have actually lost 2 pant sizes during a challenge. And while those are really fun to celebrate, if you don't celebrate the small victories too, then you're not really telling your brain that you want more of that. So, like, say you were to only lose a pound this week and you go into it with that attitude that you only lost a pound. If you go in with that negative attitude, then your brain's going to say, well, you don't want this. And then you're going to start taking actions to do things that will make you gain weight. Whereas if you say, oh, wow, I lost a pound this week, and you get excited about it, then you're subconsciously telling your brain that you're taking the right actions to get these results. And then you'll keep getting those results. Hopefully that makes sense.
It does. And just don't, another way to say it, just don't take those successes lightly. And you want to feel what it feels like to make that success. You want it to say, wow, I really enjoyed the fact that I did something that changed something. And then you start to realize, oh, I really can affect my body. I really do have the power to do that. And then everything else becomes easier.
Yeah, and like we were talking about earlier, a lot of people get upset if they only lost half an inch or an inch around their waist because they think that's not great progress, but it's really great progress. And it's something you should celebrate because you're moving in the right direction. You're doing the right things to take you closer to your goal. And when you celebrate that, instead of saying, oh, I wish I had more, then you're going to keep moving in that direction because you're going to keep taking the right actions.
Right.
Okay, so those are the questions that you will want to ask yourself. But we also have 4 steps to sticking with your resolution. And this actually comes from behavioral psychologists who are much smarter than me. So I know these definitely work. All right, so the first thing is you need to admit that you need help and you have to ask for it. So a lot of people get discouraged when they don't know how to move forward with their goal and they'll just give up. A lot of people who say, oh, I could just do this on my own, or I know what to do, they're actually more likely to fail than those who ask for support. So sometimes, even if you think you know what to do, when you're asking for support and you have someone there to guide you, you'll see far better results. Now, the more education you get and the better you plan, and the more clear you make your goals, the more likely you are to succeed. And that's, of course, why we offer our Keto Decoded membership. There is lots of education. We have a lot of courses to help guide you through a low carb lifestyle and keto in the membership. And then in our support group, we help you figure out a plan that's right for you, not the same generic plan that everyone else follows. And of course, we provide that support system to help you reach your goals. And it's proven helpful for a lot of our members because we have quite a few different members who struggled with diets for decades, myself included. And now they're losing 40, 50. Some of them have even lost up to 80 pounds in just a year, and not only are they seeing these big losses, but they're finding it easy to stick with their plan and they're actually keeping the weight that they lost off.
Which is really the biggest thing. That's the biggest deal, is the ability to keep it off, because a lot of people have achieved it and then just gone right back.
Yeah, so it's really that, the support that you're getting, taking time to educate yourself, not about a plan that worked for someone else. All of that works together. And that first comes with admitting that you need the help, that you just can't figure it all out on your own all the time. So, the number two thing is to start with baby steps. So, like we talked about during our last episode, there's no need to rush into keto just because you believe that's the plan that will get you the quickest results. So, if you start with a low carb plan to give your body a chance to use your new fuel source, and then as you feel ready, you can begin to lower carbs even more while raising fat at a slower pace. And this will give your body a chance to adjust instead of just jumping into a plan that you're not exactly ready for. I know a lot of people come into the new year with these really big expectations and unrealistic goals. And then when they don't see the results that they expect to receive, they just get frustrated and give up. And they either go back to their old way of eating or they go down the diet rabbit hole and search for something completely new. So you definitely need to set your expectations up. I would say it's best to set them up for slower results because this way you don't when the weeks that you don't get the big results that you hope for, you're at least excited that you're having more progress than you expected. But when you actually do have a week when your progress moves at a quicker pace, then you can be excited about that. And then the weeks that you have that are slow, you won't get frustrated and just give up because you have your expectations set in a realistic spot. And then having all of those small successes will give you the motivation that you need to set yourself up for even bigger successes down the road.
Right.
Now, number three is you want to make your resolution part of your everyday routine. Once you start seeing successes with your keto lifestyle, don't start celebrating with non keto food just because you've had a few victories. That's one of the quickest ways to gain the weight back, especially when you're following keto. Of course, you have to continue with the same habits that led to your initial success if you want to keep the results that you got in the first place. The quickest way to regain everything you lost on a successful keto plan is to revert back to your old way of eating. So you don't want to celebrate your victories with your old favorites just because you had a little bit of success. You have to learn to make permanent changes to your lifestyle in order to see permanent changes when it comes to your body and your health. And then number four, you want to keep track of your progress. Like we keep talking about, and if it's something that we keep talking about, you know it's important. You want to grab a journal and write down the facts, even if they're facts that you don't necessarily want to see in writing. So, some of the helpful facts that you can write down when you first get started are things like your starting weight. I know not everyone wants to see that when they first get started. You could write down your measurements, especially the measurement around your belly button, and make sure you track that. You can write down any digestive symptoms you're experiencing, and then, of course, any short and long term goals you have. And it's important to have both short and long term goals. You can continue to use that journal to write down everything you eat. I know it's kind of a pain in the butt, but it actually really can help you stick with your plan. I personally prefer to write down the carb count next to the foods since we are at least following low carb. It's really important to know how many carbs you're eating. You can't just say you're following low carb and hope it'll work. It's
Yeah, they
important.
can really sneak up on you.
Yeah, they can sneak up on you, especially if you're still eating a lot of processed foods. But even just the act of writing down your meals is going to help you start making better choices. So, if you continue to journal and keep track of your progresses, it's going to help you see how far you've come. And one thing that I recommend is the journal that you start with, keep track of it because someday you're going to have a lot of progress and it's going to be fun to actually look back and see how far you've come. And it's also going to help you see what you have to do to keep reaching your goals. Um, and also something else about monitoring your progresses in a journal is it can show you how much work you're actually putting in because I think a lot of people they think they're on a diet and they think they're putting in all this work and sometimes when they write it down they realize there are things that they could be doing to help them reach their goals that maybe they're not doing. And something else that'll help you see is the pace at which your body works because people lose at different rates. Some people lose at 1 to 2 pounds per week, and that might be average, but other people may only lose half a pound per week. And you can kind of start to learn this about your body so you're not having those unnecessary expectations just because something else worked for someone else.
Yeah, and there's something magical about seeing it on the page. So your whole day and kind of just seeing that it really helps you figure out what adjustments might be better for you.
Yeah, so Even though you don't want to journal, it's not fun. Definitely get in the habit. It's a habit that will really be transforming when it comes to getting results with keto. Of course, I have my 28-day keto transformation journal on Amazon where I wrote out everything that I tracked to help you stay on track. So you can get that on Amazon. Um, and we can help you build the momentum that you need to finally stick with your resolution this year and get the results that you want with keto because our next keto challenge is right around the corner. We are kicking this challenge off with our free keto masterclass starting on January 12th. So you can start the challenge off right. Now, make sure you get on that keto challenge list now so you can get all of my keto challenge prep tips, whether or not you decide to jump into challenge. They are very valuable. They give you great ways to start your keto lifestyle right now. So you can get on that list and get those prep tips at eatingfatisthenewskinny.com/challenge list.
That's good. So we're going to see you in the challenge. And next week, we'll have an episode where I did a live video in a challenge where we were talking about ways to get, better, tips to get into ketosis better. But during the challenge, we do live videos in the group where people can ask questions and just decide, we don't even know what topics we're going to cover until we start seeing all the questions that we get. So that's kind of fun too.
All right. We will see you next week.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
Whether you're brand new to keto or just looking to move past roadblocks, join us for our next Troubleshooting Keto Master Workshop. Go to chatthefat.com/workshop to find upcoming dates and register for this totally free event. You just might find your missing piece of the puzzle. Until then, we'll see you next week on Chat the Fat.